My name is Caroline Poynton, and this is a bit more proof about King Charles. That he's definitely a traitor. Traitor King Charles' Christmas speech, because he's changed his religion to be Islam. Swore an oath and then sin the Bible.
Winston Churchill said in the 30s, if you give in to aggression, there will be no end to the humiliation you will have to suffer. Some people suggest there should be negotiations. What is there to negotiate about? You don't negotiate with someone who's marched into another country, devastated, killing whoever
give it. Sorry.
You get him out. You make him pay and see that he is never in a position to do these things again.
Peter Sutherland was an evil man. He was an Irish barrister and
You'll have to not come on here. I've got no info.
Director General of the World Trade Organization, European Commissioner and UN Special Representative. He strongly advocated for unrestricted immigration into the EU. In fact, he was known as the father of globalism. He was also part of the London School of Economics, a Fabian Marxist front that also runs the Labour Party.
There you go.
Prominent members of this evil, inhumane racist society are Sadiq Khan, David Lammy, Shabana Mahmood, and of course our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Here's one of Sutherland's quotes. "We must use immigration to turn English people into a minority in England. This will allow us to undermine the identity of the native English and import a new majority that, he declared, would end the very idea of England." Obviously, this dark-hearted soul was a racist, but he must have known that unrestricted immigration would also destroy the Irish and the rest of Europe. I get the feeling this was the price he was eager to pay, as long as the English were wiped out and England was no more. Sutherland's protege, amongst others in Ireland, is Simon Coveney.
Why, I have been saying that my rule of thumb is that over the next 20 to 30 years, effectively we want to attempt to double the size of all of the cities in population terms outside of Dublin.
Over the next 20 years, the population of Ireland will certainly grow by an extra million people. Linked to that estimate is that half of that number won't have been born in Ireland. I think that will be a really good thing for Irish society, but we do need to manage it carefully. So that we don't allow the politics of migration to play a big part in Irish politics.
It's no coincidence that the British culture, moral structure and religious traditions
there you go, housing policies, I just said about my house.
And a great European
why they won't do fuck all.
Until recently just a whispered conspiracy theory, is now in full view.
Let's just ask you quickly, you have to choose now between Davos or Westminster.
Davos.
Why?
Because Westminster is too constrained, and it's closed, and we're not having meaning. Once you get out of Westminster, whether it's Davos or anywhere else, you actually engage with people that you can see working with in the future. Westminster is a tribal shouting.
In an extraordinary speech in 2024 at the private gathering of the rich in Davos, the German EU Commission President von der Leyen made clear her globalist controlled agenda, and people like Starmer frothed at the mouth with excitement.
And I think in a way, for a country like Britain, whose future has got to be as a global, as a nation of global citizens, not just British citizens, then I think interfaith in this context is incredibly important, because you cannot be a global citizen and be religiously illiterate.
Klaus Schwab, the non-elected, undisputed godfather of the World Economic Forum in Davos, shakes King Charles's hand. Charles entertains Macron and tells the snivelling little git,
bastard,
there are no borders between our countries.
You know what? What did the king say? He said no borders between England and France. This is he the king of a nation state, or isn't he?
He goes on to tell us,
earlier this year, as we commemorated the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the Queen and I had the enormous privilege of meeting once again the remarkable veterans of that very special generation who gave of themselves so courageously on behalf of us all.
We've always known Charles was a bit strange, but unless he's thick too, he's actually giving our country, our heritage away and gaslighting its people.
Here we are, it's that person that killed them girls, what we're talking about. You wonder why we send back to you, wonder why we fucking paying for him here, King Charles.
Or does he
That's his fault.
care?
King Charles, look, shaking Macron's hand. I told you he's changed his religion.
Yours, King Charles.
Up yours, King
and
Charles.
All your other
Fuck you off, yeah.
globalist mates. I'd value your comments on this. But for now,
yes,
I just say stay calm, stay safe, and we will chat again soon.
Hey, that's good. Oh, the cat. This is that cunt, yeah. Everybody's talking about King Charles. Here's my mate, this fucking touching over there.
Hatred. So without further ado, let's just jump straight in and see what this prat has been banging on about
funny.
this year, shall we?
Well, I die of that.
The King's Christmas
like
message has invoked the wartime spirit, calling on communities to pull together in an increasingly divided world and urging people to get to know your neighbours, which I'm all a fan of. I quite like the idea of
what neighbours?
Because it is being denigrated with each passing year. I'm happy to announce I know the names of both of my neighbours on each side, and I'm happy to facilitate them if they are ever in need, if they ever come round and want a cup of sugar or a cup of coffee or something like that. For example, I'll be more than happy to help them out because they are quite similar to who I am and who my family is. They have the same values as we do and the same traditions and the same train of thought,
yeah, but that's just
shall we say, as I do. So I'm more than happy to have these people in my life, know my name, and say good morning to whenever we pass each other in the street.
Decoration on
if the boot was on the other foot and I was living next door to other people, shall we say, I don't think I would be as friendly.
Exactly.
And equally, I don't think they'd be very friendly towards me.
Exactly.
But we'll touch on that more in just a few short moments, my dear friends.
To my sister.
His traditional speech recorded in Westminster Abbey remembered that this year's 80th anniversaries of VE Day and VJ Day and said we should never lose sight of the values in which communities came together in the face of such great challenges. But the country was a much different place back in the 1940s. We didn't have segregated communities of various religions and faiths and ethnicities clogging up the fucking country. Yeah. We had a lot more social cohesion. We had a lot more community cohesion way back in wartime. Yeah. We knew our neighbours. We trusted our neighbours. We had time for our neighbours. Now, not so much. Some people have HMOs as neighbours. Some people have migrant hotels as neighbours. There is no social cohesion or community cohesion going on there. We didn't have such a plight back in war times. It was a very, very different time. A time I wish would return.
Yeah, so do I, mate.
Fat chance.
Yep. To the King fucking
The King speaking in the Abbey's medieval Lady Chapel also hailed the spontaneous bravery of those who helped in emergencies, such as the Bondi Beach attacks in Australia. Another type of community that King Charles wants us to come together with. A Ukrainian choir sang a carol. Of course, a Ukrainian choir sang a carol. We couldn't have British or Welsh or Irish carol singers. Of course we didn't. We have to have the Ukraine shoved down our throats, particularly at the time of festivities, such as Christmas. It makes you want to vomit, my dear friends, doesn't it? A Ukrainian choir sang a carol with many of the group's singers in the UK because of the war. Cry me a fucking river. The speech included a call for quiet and calm as our world seemed to spin even faster, with King Charles quoting poet T.S. Eliot's words about finding the still point of the turning world. I know fuck all about poetry and art and stuff like that. I am completely clueless. I have heard of T.S. Eliot, but I couldn't tell you one thing about any of his poetries. If I went to a poetry meeting or some kind of art gallery, I'd end up finding a corner somewhere, curling up into a ball into a fetal position, and falling quietly to sleep. That's how cultured I am.
I don't know why that's for
a royal aide was there. A royal aide said this was a reference to social impact of new technology on communities and that people might consider a digital detox. No, thank you. For the second year, the message was delivered in a location away from the royal palace. The king used the chapel in the abbey to talk about life's pilgrimage and the lessons of current times. In front of Christmas trees originally used for the Princess of Wales Carol concert at the Abbey, he spoke of the importance of community cohesion and bridging divides. As I meet people of different faiths, I find it enormously encouraging to hear how we have so much in common, said the king, speaking under the chapel's famous vaulted ceilings. So many things in common, he says. We know who he's referring to here, my friends. What do we have in common with Islam? I am here to ask you that burning question. What on God's green earth does Islam have in common with me and my family and my whole bloodline? Fuck all, my dear friends. Zero.
Exactly.
This man, honestly, is living in some kind of fantasy Care Bear, unicorn, rainbow, fantasy world. Up in the sky somewhere where it's all bouncy and fluffy. Back in the real world, there's no bridging certain divides, I can fucking tell you that. With the great diversity of our communities, we can find the strength to ensure that right triumphs over wrong. I think I've had enough of this fucking bullshit for the time being, my friends. King Charles basically wants us to bridge gaps between certain communities. Certain communities who want to outbreed us, make us a minority in our own country, and they're quite happy to cause violence, destruction, and chaos towards us. Who does this man think he is? Where he wants us to come together with people who hate us on a mass scale. People who want to overtake the entire country and kick us out, basically.
And do kill
That's
us.
not going to happen. Never will
us.
happen. There's always going to be these bridges of hatred and division, as long as I have a hole in my ass. These communities want to keep themselves to themselves. They close themselves off. They gate off their own communities. They have their own specific shops, their own specific places of worship. They can go years, if not decades, without talking to a single white British-born people. Let them have at it, but don't try and force me to make friends with people who despise me. Don't try and force me to try and make friends and love thy neighbour with communities who would rather see me in a crematorium than see me in a friendly manner. Never going to happen, my dear friend, in a month of Sundays. I'm pretty sure you guys feel the exact same.
Yep.
And that's me lot, my friends. I just thought I'd bring this to you. Like I said at the top of this video, it was as to be expected. Very woke. You do this because you're the evil person. These people over here are the angels, the godsend. Get to know them.
Basically,
get
become
to know
slaves.
them and come together with them and all that fucking nonsense. This is never going to happen, my dear friends. I'm not going to go on for too much longer because I want to go and get drunk yet again. As soon as I'm on my own, there's not much else to do, and it is Christmas Day, so yeah. Have at it, my friends. I do hope you've all enjoyed your days anyway, mingling with family and friends or whatever the hell you've been doing, having a couple of tipples and all that shit, and I shall see you in a couple of days. Carpe diem, and I'll see you in a bit.
Bye.
Cheers.
Oh, shut up, Lexi. Now what?
Why do you hate me? Who told you to hate me? Like, who told you that you have to think that way? I can tell you that.
But why does your opinion really matter? I mean, who are you?
Oh, Yeah, that's why diversity thinks that this is what King Charles thinks of diversity. That's what I think of that. Well, this is what the streets think of it. It's what Muslims think of diversity.
Yesterday, some young British lads confronted a group of Islamists who were disrupting Christmas celebration in Manchester. They all had enough of these disruptions. Earlier, a day before Christmas, which was on the 24th, these Muslims came out in their numbers, blocked roads in London, Manchester and other major cities in England to make sure Christmas was not celebrated. But thank God another group of locals could not take it and decided to confront. Have a watch.
That was in Manchester the week, someone knocked someone right over loads of people. It's quite crazy. Yeah, King Charles and your die fucking versity, King Charles. King Charles and his die fucking versity. These are your community. Brilliant community, mate. Obstructing Christmas and blocking all the roads and hitting women and doing what they want. Burning Christmas trees down. Very diverse, that. Very good neighbours, that, mate. Very good community, mate. Yeah.
What's going on?
After this, these locals called the police to the scene, and the police had to intervene and arrest many of them. This should not be happening in Britain, and we are totally against this.
Anyway. No, we're not what's happening. Don't you bother. Eddie, come on, don't know what's happened here, like. It was me then. I felt the whole thing. Let me guys
Well, before we continue, if you've not already, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell for upcoming updates.
Well,
Britain is a country built on the principle that people of different faiths, cultures and beliefs can live together under one shared rule of law. That principle depends on mutual respect, tolerance, and an understanding that no group has the right to impose its will on others through intimidation or disruption. Recent incidents in which individuals claiming religious or ideological motivations interfered with Christmas celebrations represent a clear violation of those shared values. Christmas, whether viewed as a religious observance or a cultural tradition, has been part of British life for centuries. It is celebrated peacefully by millions across the country and coexists with other religious holidays such as Eid, Diwali, Hanukkah, and Vaisakhi. In a free society,
nothing about
no
that,
one is
did he?
required
Didn't
to
say now
participate
about
in these
that.
celebrations, but
He's bought fucking
equally,
Indians
no one
and
has the
Muslims.
right to prevent others from doing so.
Is
Blocking
one.
public roads,
That's
disrupting
talking
communities,
Charles
or attempting to
represents
shut
Islam.
down lawful celebrations crosses a line. Protest, when conducted peacefully and within the law, is a protected right in Britain. However, using disruption or intimidation to target ordinary families, workers, or festive events undermines that right and damages social cohesion. Such actions are not an expression of faith. They are a misuse of public space and a challenge to the rule of law. It is therefore understandable that many local residents felt anger and frustration. When people see their traditions disrupted and their freedom to celebrate threatened, emotions will run high. The response of confronting the disruption and then calling the police reflects a belief that these matters should be handled through lawful channels, not through chaos or vigilantism. In that sense, the involvement of the police was necessary and appropriate. What must be made absolutely clear is that these actions should not be conflated with Islam or Muslims as a whole. Millions of Muslims in Britain live peacefully, celebrate their own holidays, respect the law, and fully accept that others have the right to celebrate theirs. The problem lies not with the faith, but with individuals or groups who adopt extremist or confrontational tactics and attempt to force their views onto the wider public. Allowing such behaviour to go unchallenged would set a dangerous precedent. If one group can shut down Christmas today, another could attempt to disrupt IED tomorrow, or any other cultural or religious event in the future. Britain's strength lies in its ability to protect everyone's freedoms equally, not in privileging one group's sensibilities over another's rights. Law enforcement must continue to act firmly and impartially. Roads cannot be blocked, public order cannot be threatened, and celebrations cannot be targeted simply because someone disagrees with them. Arrests, where justified, are not acts of oppression. They are a necessary enforcement of the laws that protect all citizens, regardless of belief. At the same time, community leaders, religious figures, and public officials have a responsibility to condemn disruptive behaviour clearly and unequivocally. Silence or excuse-making only fuels division and emboldens those who thrive on confrontation. Peaceful coexistence requires leadership, honesty, and a shared commitment to respecting boundaries. Britain does not belong to one religion, one ideology, or one group. It belongs to everyone who abides by its laws and respects the freedoms of others. Celebrating Christmas does not threaten anyone's faith, just as observing Ramadan or Eid does not threaten British culture. The attempt to frame such celebrations as enemies is both false and destructive. If we want a country where diversity truly works, then we must draw a firm line. Freedom of belief is protected, but coercion, disruption, and intimidation are not. Respect is not demanded, it is earned through peaceful conduct and mutual understanding. Britain can and must remain a place where traditions coexist, not collide.
Yeah, but King Charles won't do that.
Christmas in the United Kingdom means time for a message from the head of state. The speech is traditionally filmed inside a royal residence. Tonight, King Charles chose Westminster Abbey. Inside this medieval chapel, a message about pilgrimage.
It is about journeying forward into the future, while also journeying back.
Remembering heroism of fallen soldiers 80 years after the end of World War II, and communities it brought together. And hope through stories of courage over adversity.
I'm not attacking Muslims anyway, I'm attacking King fucking Charles.
He's been undergoing cancer
he's
treatment,
lying.
and the family who joined him at church this morning has notable absences. His brother, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, stripped of his royal titles after his links to Jeffrey Epstein were made public. Also missing his son, Prince Harry, who saw his father one time in the last year. The King's message ended with a call for peace and reconciliation, before a choir sang the final tune, a song from their homeland. They're called Voices of Ukraine. The king emphasized community that he's witnessed between people of all faiths and a shared longing for peace. Lee Canary, CBS News, London.
Bullshit. He's got no idea that he's changed his religion. And he won't be doing anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Brain Cell Lost Show. You're going to lose some brain cells with your boy Tall. It's the holiday season, and there's no better time to lose brain cells than the holiday season with your boy the Traveling Clad. I am your Sweet Zionist Prince, and if you want to be a Sweet Zionist Prince or Princess just like me, you can get the merch down below in the description of thetravelingclad.com. And our first clip here is not this video. It is actually from Tommy Robinson fighting at Royal Ascot.
Now, before we get into the next...
Nigeria.
The United States carried out an airstrike against Islamic State militants in northwest Nigeria at the request of Nigeria's government. U.S. President Donald Trump and the U.S. military said on Thursday, claiming the group had been targeting Christians in the region.
Well, they are. They are doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
Alright folks, this is Harris Sultan. Is it just me, or you have also noticed that...
Something felt really significant, didn't it, about this Christmas? Really dystopia.
Christmas trees on
No, I
fire.
appreciate
Diversity, King Charles
it's gonna
said.
feel strange for me.
Community, neighbours, yeah.
But I feel it in my heart, you know, I still have a deep connection to my country. And admittedly, I witness it through a spear we know as X. And I appreciate there will be another side. But it felt horrendous for me witnessing Christmas, or Winter Wonderland as it's now called, or Winter Market.
Well, I
can't even use the word
but...
Christmas. It's been it's been really hard to witness. I've felt deep sadness over the last few days.
That's why I haven't been.
Over, well,
that's why I'm not going to go anywhere, so I can't go out anywhere.
There's more to it than that. I mean,
even if you
the
your
M&S
sister could walk and
successful
things, they couldn't go
adverts.
far. Just look at it.
Just everything. The fact that Christmas markets aren't called Christmas markets anymore. The fact that you can't go to a Christmas market and be safe. The fact that when we do have a Christmas market that hasn't been cancelled yet. I mean, I think this year might be the end of Christmas markets. I think, you know, they're already saying they're cancelling New Year's Eve in many, many places. You know, because they can't ensure safety. Now that we have, you know, such a diverse nation.